Yo, what is up, guys? It is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, back in today with another fantasy football video. Today's video is Week 7 running back rankings. Now, before I get into running backs 1 through 32, I'd like to give you guys a word from my sponsor, OverlayDFS.com. Are you tired of having to pick the perfect player at every single position in order to win salary cap DFS? Are you tired of having your salary cap lineup out of the running to win the money in the first 5 minutes of the games? Does playing salary DFS feel like a job and not even a game? Well, I have the solution for you guys right here. OverlayDFS.com has a new revolutionary start sit game for fantasy sports. They're home of the single entry GPP, and it's so simple, guys. I'm playing this every single week. All you got to do is you look at the matchups on your screen here. There's a bunch of them, and you just pick which players. You're going to have to pick 12 players as well as 3 alternates. Who do you think is going to be better than another person? So, do you think Daniel Jones is going to be better than Teddy Bridgewater? It is that simple, guys. That is literally all you have to do, and there's pretty much entries at every single level. This is the $2.50 one. There's $22 ones. There's even $100 ones if you are rolling in the big bucks like that. See, if you go 12 and 0 in this, 12 and 0 record gets you $2,972. So you're making way more money than the $2.50 you put in. And if you finish in the top 10% of people, you get $18, and it goes up obviously depending on which type of game you're playing in based upon how much you put into the game. So it's very simple. I play on it pretty much every single week. So say in week 4, if you're playing in the 12, if you went 12 and 0 in the $109 game, you'll win a progressive bonus of over $26,000. The object is pretty much just to stay consistent, and you get, if you finish in the top 10% of the field, you win 9 times your buy-in until you get that beautiful 12 and 0 and win that huge progressive bonus. So make sure that you guys check this out. It's super easy. I planned it every single week. I've been doing pretty good, but I think you guys may honestly be smarter than me and may be able to do better. So come play with me. Come check it out. OverlayDFS.com. Check it out. Link below down in the description. And we are back, Week 7 running back rankings. At number 1, we have Saquon Barkley of the New York Football Giants. Now, Saquon Barkley is back from that injury. He was gone for a minute, but he's back now, so you're going to have to sit the fuck back down because Saquon Barkley is going to be the king this week against the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals' run defense is, as one would describe, fucking terrible. They are so bad. Saquon Barkley, even with one leg, even if he just had one leg, would be able to run all over them. Now, he's all good. He's all healthy. He should be good to go to be the number 1 running back this week in fantasy football. And number 2, we have Leonard Fournette, Mr. Leonard Fournette, going up against the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, what I do know is that Leonard Fournette gets a lot of touches, and he's not going to be the only one getting touched in this game. It's going to be the Cincinnati Bengals getting touched by Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette is going to go hog wild in this game against the Cincinnati Bengals, whose defense is just as atrocious as the Arizona Cardinals. They are out 2 corners. Obviously, that doesn't matter because Leonard Fournette runs the fucking ball, but their defense is eviscerated, and Leonard Fournette is going to tear them a new one. At number 3, we have David Johnson going up against the New York Football Giants. Now, David Johnson this week is a game time decision, so if he's not good to go, then take him out of your lineup. But right now, even if he's hurt, even if he's still dealing with that back injury, we saw it last week, he was able to score. I think this week he'll be able to do the same thing against the Giants. He could be scoring 20 plus points against the Giants, even with his back fucked up. I think David Johnson is in for a huge matchup this week. At number 4, we have Dalvin Cook going up against the Detroit Lions. Now, Dalvin Cook last week played against the Philadelphia Eagles, who have a decent run defense. This week, he's been set free against the Detroit Lions. We know Dalvin Cook's value is immense when he's playing up against a run defense that cannot stop anyone. Dalvin Cook is in for a huge matchup this week, back into the top 5 of my rankings pretty much every single week from now on. At number 5, we have Chris Carson going against the Baltimore Ravens. Now, at the beginning of the year, Chris Carson seemed to have a bit of a case of fumble-itis. Later into the season, the past couple of weeks, we've seen Chris Carson absolutely emerge and be a certified fucking beast in fantasy football. This week against the Baltimore Ravens, I think this is going to be a high-scoring matchup. I repeat, a high-scoring matchup. I think Chris Carson has a monster game this week against the Baltimore Ravens, both on the ground and through the air. At number 6, we have Ezekiel Elliott going up against the Philadelphia Eagles. And like I talked about with Dalvin Cook, Ezekiel Elliott is playing up against a tough run defense in the Eagles. Now, I do know that Ezekiel Elliott will be able to catch passes and be proficient in that to warrant him being a top 6 guy. I think he'll still be scoring about 12 to 15 points, but obviously don't put him to be the number 1 guy this week because the Philadelphia run defense has been pretty tough this year. At number 7, we have Derrick Henry going up against the LA Superchargers. Derrick Henry has been playing pretty great in the past. Now, what I do know is that, I don't know why I keep saying what I do know, but what I do know is that Mr. Ryan Tannehill is starting at the quarterback position. I think they're going to be relying a lot more on the run in this game. They're going to be running down the Chargers' throat, and you want to know who ran down the Chargers' throat last week, Mr. James Conner. This week, I think Derrick Henry is in for a top 10 week, and even though he can't catch the fucking ball, he has butterfingers. It doesn't matter. Derrick Henry is still in for a top 10 running back week. Now, at number 8, we have Mr. Aaron Jones going against the Oakland Raiders. Now, I am slightly worried because Matt LaFleur is a fucking idiot. He makes sure to use Jamal Williams when Jamal Williams is a garbage can in comparison to Aaron Jones. But Aaron Jones will still get enough work. He'll still be running in those touchdowns against the Oakland Raiders. So I'm confident in him being a top 10 back this week. At number 10, we have Mr. Le'Veon Bell going up against the New England Patriots. Now, this is clearly a tough matchup for Le'Veon Bell to face this week. The New England defense has been stopping everyone in their path, but I think Le'Veon Bell is able to get it done this week through the air. I think even if he gets just a couple of runs, even if he just runs the ball 10, 15 times and catches the ball like 6, 7 times, he'll have a good enough game in PPR formats to warrant a top 10 finish. At number 10, we have Mark Ingram going against the Seattle Seahawks. And Mark Ingram has not been performing up to my liking the past couple of weeks. At the beginning of the season, he was busting multiple 2-touchdown games. Now, it seems like that's not happening. But I think this game against the Seattle Seahawks, they try to slow it down a bit. They try to let Lamar Jackson run. They try to let Mark Ingram run. And they try to drip the clock and not allow Russell Wilson to have too much time to throw on them. I think Mark Ingram's in for a good matchup this week. At number 11, we have Joshua Jacobs going up against the Green Bay Packers. And what I've seen in the past is that Josh Jacobs has been quite fucking good. 2 weeks ago, obviously they had their bye last week. 2 weeks ago against the Bears in London, he had quite a field day with the Bears defense. I think this week against a Bears defense who wasn't really able to stop Kerryon Johnson all that much last week, I think Josh Jacobs is in for a key matchup this week and may be able to find his way into the end zone. At number 12, we have the other running back that I just spoke about, Kerryon Johnson, going up against the Minnesota Vikings. Now, Kerryon Johnson clearly has a PPR threat. Matt Stafford clearly likes dumping the ball off his way. Matt Patricia has clearly figured out that the pencil should be in his ear and not up his ass, and that they should be able to run the ball, and they keep jamming Kerryon Johnson up there, even if there's 11, 12, 13 men in the box. We saw it last week against the Packers. There was 13 men on the field at one point. I think Kerryon Johnson will get the ball no matter what happens, and I like Kerryon Johnson this week against the Vikings. Now on to 13 through 24. Shout out to the fact that there's a friendly reminder right now. The fact is that Alvin Kamara is hurt. Obviously, I should have said that at the beginning of the video, but that's fine. Alvin Kamara, hopefully you're all right for next week, but right now you're injured, and that is why Latavius Murray is on this page. At number 13, we have Mr. Marlon Mack going up against the Houston Texans. We saw last week, obviously, they had their bye, but the week before against the Kansas City Chiefs, Marlon Mack had a phenomenal game. They committed to running the damn ball. That's the hat that they were wearing in the locker room. Marlon Mack is going to run the ball down the Houston Texans' throat. I think they are committed to the run, even though they're going to throw a bit more with T.Y. Hilton now coming back. I think that Marlon Mack is going to be a solid back this week. At number 14, we have Devontae Freeman going up against the L.A. Rams. Now, in my opinion, Devontae Freeman is like sticking a ticking time bomb straight into your goddamn lineup. If you start Devontae Freeman, you better be praying to the great fantasy gods that he doesn't shit the bed this week. But what I do know is the L.A. Rams are a good matchup for the running back position. We saw that Matt Breida and Tevin Coleman absolutely gashed them. I think that Devontae Freeman will be able to do the same thing this week as long as Dan Quinn is smart enough to run the ball. At number 15 and 16, we have the Patriots running backs. Number 15 is Mr. James White going against the New York Jets. Now, I have a bit more confidence in James White due to the fact that he is that PPR back. He's the guy that catches the ball a bunch on the team out of the backfield. I think he's in for a solid week against the Jets this week. At number 16, we have Sony Michel going up against the Jets as well. Obviously, they're on the same team. You are going to have to rely more on the touchdown with Sony Michel. Obviously, they're going to run the ball a lot, but if he doesn't find that end zone, you may be disappointed. At number 17, we have Mr. Todd Gurley going up against the Atlanta Falcons. Now, as I'm recording this video, I'm not entirely sure if Todd Gurley is going to play, but it seems like, at least to me, that I think they will let him go this week against the Atlanta Falcons. Now, the Atlanta Falcons' run defense is terrible. Their pass defense is terrible. Their whole fucking defense is terrible. And if Todd Gurley is in and pretty much healthy, he should be a top 20 back this week. At number 18, we have Joseph Mixon of the Cincinnati Bengals going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, this is a good matchup against the Jacksonville defense, but I am worried about the fact that Joe Mixon's offensive line sucks ass. They will let anyone through to penetrate that line and destroy Joe Mixon or Andy Dalton, so I am worried about that. Otherwise, Joe Mixon should have like a 10-point game, you would think, but he's probably going to end up scoring like 8 fucking points because that's what Joe Mixon does, and he's just a disappointment for fantasy football this year. At number 19, we have Mr. Latavius Murray going up against the Chicago Bears. And like I said, Alvin Kamara is out, so I think Latavius Murray could be a top 20 back this week. Obviously, he's facing up against a tough run defense in the Chicago Bears, but we saw 2 weeks ago that Josh Jacobs was able to get it done against the Chicago Bears. I think Latavius Murray is a good enough back to get that work against the Bears and be able to put up a proficient game. At number 20, we have Mr. Austin Eckler going up against the Tennessee Titans, followed by number 21, Mr. Melvin Gordon. Now, I am very confused on what to do with these two backs. I think I put Eckler ahead of Melvin Gordon because I have a lot more confidence in him being the guy that is getting the most volume on the team. At least to me, that's what it seems like. But I am worried about both of these guys going against the Tennessee Titans. That's why they're in the 20 and 21 spot. And last week, they looked terrible against the terrible Towel Steelers. It was unbelievable how bad they were. So I am very worried this week, especially against a good run defense in the Tennessee Titans. At number 22, we have Tevin Coleman going up against the Washington Redskins. And the Washington Redskins defense is not all that good. We saw that the 49ers are liking to run the ball. Jimmy G likes dumping the ball off. I think Tevin Coleman is in for a great matchup this week against the Redskins, especially when they're going to be running the ball a lot because the Redskins defense is terrible and they'll just run out the clock and just come home with that win and come home undefeated. At number 23, we have Carlos Hyde going up against the Indianapolis Colts. Now, Carlos Hyde has been actually playing pretty good. Last week played really good. And I think they're going to start trying to commit to the run a bit more. Deshaun Watson obviously has been trying his hardest, but DeAndre Hopkins has not done shit this season. I think Carlos Hyde is going to be able to run the ball and jam it down the Indianapolis Colts' throat. And I think if Bill O'Brien really does commit to the run, Carlos Hyde's a guy that I think you could start every single week as an RB2. At number 24, we have Mr. Matthew Breida going up against the Washington Redskins. And like I said for Tevin Coleman, he's a guy that they're going to be just rushing the ball a lot towards the end of the game to waste the clock. I think that Matt Breida is going to be in for a good game. Obviously, has that speed we saw against the Rams to get those like 60-yard runs, 50-yard runs, and absolutely destroy the Washington Redskins defense. Now on to 25 through 32. So if you guys have made it this far, make sure to go down below and click that subscribe button. At number 25, we have Mr. David Montgomery going up against the New Orleans Saints. Now, David Montgomery has been a guy that a lot of people are hating on. They're saying Chief Keef ain't this, Chief Keef ain't that. But David Montgomery is going to have a good game against the Saints. Now, obviously, he's ranked towards the back because this isn't an ideal matchup against the Saints' run defense. And it seems like if it's Chase Daniels or Mitch Trubisky, that David Montgomery just hasn't been performing all that well. But I do think that he's going to get enough touches and enough targets to warrant him being a top 25 back. At number 26, we have Mr. Frank Goa going up against the Miami Dolphins. Now, it seems like number 27, Devin Singletary, is going to be good to go this week. As I'm recording this, I'm not entirely sure. You guys will probably know when you're watching this. But Frank Gore is obviously the better back to have in this game. I think he's going to get more usage than Devin Singletary, but don't sleep on Devin Singletary because he could get 6 touches and run for 70 yards and a touchdown because of how god-awful the Miami Dolphins defense is and how good Devin Singletary really is as a runner. At number 28, we have Jamal Williams going up against the Oakland Raiders. And like I said for Aaron Jones, Matt LaFleur is a fucking idiot, and he's going to use Jamal Williams regardless. Aaron Jones and him are going to split touches, and against the Oakland Raiders, against a defense that I believe you can run against, Jamal Williams is in for a good matchup this week. Number 29, we have Chase Edmonds going up against the New York Football Giants. Now, David Johnson is a game time decision, so if he's out, Chase Edmonds would obviously go up higher in the rankings. But even right now, with David Johnson in my opinion, Chase Edmonds will still be able to have a good game. We saw last week David Johnson was scoring touchdowns, and so was Chase Edmonds. Chase Edmonds was putting up those good points for your fantasy football team. I think this week against the Giants' terrible run defense, he could do that as well, even if David Johnson is healthy. At number 30, we have Miles Sanders going up against the Dallas Cowboys, followed by 31, Jordan Howard against the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I like Miles Sanders slightly more due to the fact that he is that pass-catching back. You don't have to worry about them getting to the 1-yard line like you have to worry about with Jordan Howard. If they're not on the 1-yard line, Jordan Howard's likely not going to score. He's not a guy that's going to be able to run it in from 10 yards out. Miles Sanders could get a dump-off pass, take it for 60 yards, and get you your 8 points or 9 points that you want from him early in the game, and that's why I like Miles Sanders slightly more. And at number 32, we have Mr. Kenyon Drake going against the Buffalo Bills. Now, I found it hard to find the number 32 back, and I just went with a guy that I know is the number 1 back on their team. Even against a tough Buffalo Bills run defense, you could do a lot worse than Kenyon Drake. So thank you guys all for watching this video. If at any point you ended up enjoying, make sure to click that subscribe button down below. Make sure to click that like button as well. Make sure you have a great day. Make sure to check out OverlayDFS.com, link down below in the description, or you can type that shit in, OverlayDFS.com. Make sure to check that shit out. Make sure to have a wonderful day. I'll see you guys on Sunday. I love you all. Goodbye. Actually, no, you're watching this. There's going to be a lot more videos on Saturday. What am I talking about? I already recorded them though. Make sure you have a great day. I love you. Goodbye.